I'd assume you can all see my screen. If you can't, please do let me know. So I'm going to start. So sorry, you will see a little bit of corner of my screen. We all work with technology, but there's still new things every day to to find out when Teams being updated. So I just do a quick introduction. Anne has already introduced me. So I'm currently based at King's Business School. So my main research interest, it is on Gen AI literacy, anything AI related digital transformation in higher education. I'm currently the academic chair for a knowledge hub on AI. Is a new knowledge hub developed for Circle U. I'm also I've just got second year in consecutive time for a QA funding. Again, it's both projects, the current one that I'm working on and the new one. They're both on AI. One is on assessment, one is on the graduate attributes. And as mentioned, now I'm also co-editor-in-chief for Emerald Open Access Journal called Artificial. Sorry, that was a typo. I just noticed Artificial Intelligence in Education. And I have recently just published a book on, you can see from the screen as well. So looking at the practical examples and the case studies in using AI. I have another book coming out shortly, hopefully by March, April with spring is also on the Gen AI literacy as well. So again, I'm starting with a little bit of a quick background and knowledge, and I'm sure everybody knows it. I'm not going to go into deeply into what LLM is and what Gen AI is, but I thought just to give you a little bit of idea, really, we just to bring you into the academic research side of things relating to the use of a Gen AI. This topic has been really quite popular. I have delivered a huge amount of workshops, but the latest trend that I have been delivered or invited to deliver is mainly on using Gen AI for research. It's fascinating to see how the research or in the way of the usage of AI has switched slightly from teaching, although teaching is still the main focus now gradually to research. There have been lots of challenges, and I have got sort of examples. Some of them is actually I went through personally as well. But you all know this one, got a bit of idea how quickly a Gen AI has really grabbed people's attention. So for ChatGPT, we all know 5 days compared to all other major social media apps. I'm not going to repeat this one too much. You'll get the idea. 5 days compared to 2, 3, 4, 5 months. So that's how quickly it has really developed. So, but in comparison, the statistics on Gen AI in academic research is actually, I can't say none, but I would say very little. I have done a recent search and had a solidly searched all the statistics I could really get hands on, and I really can't find a decent report showing people what kind of statistics on Gen AI in academic research. So that's the situation. But there is one. So for all these slides, later on you have access to them. I put lots of links below just for the information. Some of them I put them on the final slide, but for a certain number of the readings, I felt it probably a bit easier for you to access and to read them. I just done in the note session on individual slides, so you can read them later on. There is 2023 Nature. There is a research on using Gen AI in academic research. So it's based on data collected from 1,600 researchers. I've just showed a couple of screenshots of the survey results. There's a big selection. So they basically showed all the results based on the individual survey questions. And again, you can read them in detail, but I'm just showing you the negative impacts of AI, problems of Gen AI. So this is one of the major challenges. I'm sure many of you have heard, even on LinkedIn, people saying, oh, you know what, in this year, I have got 60, 70 papers. I have got 60, 70 papers out, or even 50 papers. Prior to Gen AI, I think it's impossible, really. Even now with Gen AI, I don't know how, even with the research teams, because I work with researchers globally and in various research teams while I'm leading or somebody else led. It's a hard work, I'm sure you all know, but for the speed to produce papers with the support of a Gen AI, it's just amazing. But we don't really have evidence. We can't lay fingers on saying you did this, you did that. But really interestingly and surprisingly to see the threads of different types of threads Gen AI kind of brings into academia when people doing research. You can see that here people in terms about making fraud much easier. It's about generating the ideas, getting writing done. Obviously, there's academic integrity. Not students need to be concerned with, also academic researchers. So from this list, you get a bit of idea. We are all sharing common concerns in terms of how or what should we do in terms of using Gen AI in our academic writing and research. So we all know now many Gen AI tools do provide enterprise licenses, and probably one of the most known one that we're all kind of get to be encouraged to use will be the Copilot. Personally, I have tried all major tools, and I particularly don't like Copilot. I don't think the answers are accurate in a way. It not intelligent enough compared to ChatGPT or Gemini. And also, when I asked to Copilot to put the outputs into a Word document or PDF, whatever, 9 out of the 10 times I can't click on any of those documents generated. Basically, it's a fake link. So in a way, the enterprise license does give you a better protection. So if you don't mind, some of you, please, can you switch your audio off? So just that it's got the echoing, it's a bit difficult. Thank you. So it has got better protection, but there's no guarantee the inputted data is 100% accurate. You do have got institutional firewall there as an extra protection, and the license, if you read them carefully, although most of us don't, because they're massively long, time consuming. We're not working in the legal sector. It's difficult sometimes, the language, in particularly to people like me when English isn't my first language. The bottom line is we don't really read those license agreement, but by default, when they offer you enterprise license, they should promise or guarantee the data is 100% secure. But it's never really is the case. Just like Facebook and other social medias, they own our data, then they're not supposed to sell, but then they still sell our data. Later on, we have other examples here to show you as well. So in theory, our data, when we put within, when you're using enterprise license, should be kept within your institution. It should be excluded from training, but there's never really a that guarantee. That's one thing. You got extra protection. That's all about it. So one thing I have to say, all these Gen AI vendors, they are quite like the quotation here from Wire.com. They all quite secretive about what they actually used for training. We all know recently how DeepSeek suddenly has become the center of attention in competing with ChatGPT. To me, I'm really surprised. DeepSeek has been there for a while, but I don't know why suddenly it has become the center of attention. Who stirred the water? Who brought this topic or this particular company up? There's a lot of things going on for now. So OpenAI has accused DeepSeek that they used their data for training. But then a good question to put forward to ask OpenAI is, how did you do your training? When they first released, they would have to train their chatbots initially. So where did they get their training data? That has been kept secretive. Nobody knows. So they're accusing of each other how they've used their data for training. But general speaking, all these companies, again, I'm showing my personal opinion. I'm not here to writing academic papers, so please don't quote me on that. I'm giving you the views of what I can read. So it's opportunity to share and probably have a discussions with you later on. So I'm not saying everything I'm saying here is completely correct. Again, it's just a personal view, but that's kind of the situation we're experiencing. So again, there's a reading the article. Again, the link is at the bottom of the slide. So Meta has been sort of showed there's evidence they have used again the data from the copyrighted data for training for their own chatbots, and that's a quite latest. I think it's about 2024. So that's the latest news. Just to show you, enterprise license doesn't really mean completely 100% secure. So still be careful what you do, how you input your data, what kind of information you share. So all these major companies have written into their privacy policies. Again, they may use your data for training AI. So they may. So that's a this this gets very ambiguous when they say they may use your data. You don't know what they use your data for. So the suggestions, again, as mentioned, it's hard to understand the policies, to review the policies, but it is critical to understand what kind of policies or agreements you get into when you purchase a university institutional level enterprise license. Also, there are more vendors now offering this option to allow you to opt out for training. So again, to look at the policies and to look at the terms and conditions. When you get onto the page, often that you see the option when in the setting area. For example, the Microsoft Copilot has now announced this new opt-out process. Again, just to look at these, to explore those options, by default, your data will be used for training. So unless you're actually opt out for not to be used for that way. And also make sure your data continuously to be anonymized. That's quite critical. I'll cover that in more details in the later slides. Again, regular audit is not something done individually, but we're talking about enterprise licenses here. So it's normally is the organization. For us, is the institutional level auditing that we're really relying on. It's not individual employees' responsibilities, but regular auditing does help to further secure how the data is being used, whether they're being used for training purposes. So the challenges we're facing, I've just summarized them into those 6 main areas we have. To begin with, we have a data privacy security for research purpose, whether your research project grant applications, your whether empirical research or any other type of papers, as long as you've got data involved, be extra careful, in particular if you're in your drafting stage, you haven't published, you haven't shared the data with outside. Be very careful. Don't disclose or share those sensitive research data with any Gen AI tools. Personally, I think even with enterprise license, I will not share that data. Let's just say it's very well protected. It's 100% outside in the public won't get to access. Within your work environment, others will have opportunity to access the data when you actually shared your raw data using enterprise license. For the biases, fairness, transparency, again, if you use Gen AI trying to analyze your data, generate any results, anything like that, just to be extra careful. Firstly, as I said, I don't really recommend apart from synthetic data, try not to use to upload your raw data. If you did that, if it's data being publicly available as a public data sets and you want to do it, by all means go ahead, do it, but just be careful about the skewed insights, whether it's positive or negatively skewed. Just make sure you do check the results and think about what you're using the outcomes for, what purposes. Output quality and reliability. Okay, the accuracy, the consistencies, anything to do with the logical side of the outcomes or opinions, in particular, if you're dealing with medical and law, those are the 2 subject disciplines are particularly, you need to be particularly sensitive about what you're doing with Gen AI, anything you're putting in now. I'm not doing too much about prompt engineering. Many of us have a bit experience in this area. It's all about how you think about the comments you put into the Gen AI tools to refine its iterate processes to make sure you get what you're aiming for. So one interesting discussion now, again, I don't see any scientific approval. They're saying about if you're being applied to ChatGPT or other Gen AI tools, it will be applied back and give you better results. I don't really know whether that's true or not, but I tested, I can't see major difference. But again, it's interesting research. It has been done by a number of researchers. If you want to read, it's just something to understand. Intellectual property and plagiarism. I have got that experience. So just be careful. We all know from the early stage, Gen AI tools can generate fake references. Be very careful because publishers, when you've gone through the production process, whether you're editor, AE, or if you are part of the editor team, just be mindful. All major publishers, we don't actually check the authentication of references. I have seen cases in the past that authors generate the entire list of references they fabricated, obviously. So that would lead kind of investigation to whether the content was generated or not. So the references are not checked at all in that sense. Production process normally check the formatting, but they don't check whether the references are genuine. So please be very mindful. Those have been various of cases in this area. Accessibility and cost, I don't need to go on too much. We all know now they're charging more and more, so you pay monthly description. I've never paid any. I think the ChatGPT 4.0 Gemini are sufficient enough. I've started testing DeepSeek. I can't see any major differences yet. I only just started using, but there are plenty options. I think as long as you know what you're doing, you're good with prompt engineering, you don't need to worry about payment. I have been told apparently the ChatGPT paid version works much better, but to me, 4.0 is sufficient. So you might have heard phage before. This term, really, the algorithm. It was initiated by Microsoft. So fairness, accountability, transparency, and ethics. Ethics, again, is quite broad. We all know or got a basic idea with ethics. But fairness, the biases, the three main type of biases. You got data biases. That's the one we are most familiar with, like Amazon, the US, the healthcare system. The common one is the gender biases. So you kind of women tend to be sort of filtered out when they're doing training. You also got algorithm biases, how they writing the training algorithm, whether that's correct or not. You also have a label biases, because when you do training, the label does make a difference as well. So people have a different opinion to include certain things, not to include certain things. So the labeling is the other bias that we see in relating to AI biases. So some of these biases we have, we understand it more, but some biases more to do really the other two, the label and algorithm, that's to do with the programmer. We as users don't tend to see it, but the data biases is what we see most. So when we use Gen AI looking to do various things, that's why relating to the output, you need to check the accuracy or generally speaking, whether they are correct or not. Accountability, again, so it's all fine you're using Gen AI to do whatever you're intending to do, but when problems happening, it's really difficult sometimes it doesn't really mean you got to blame somebody, but in various situations, in particular, you're thinking about some potential legal consequences. People do need to be responsible for the outcomes, and sometimes can be serious. So for example, if you're talking about publication, I will talk about the consequences in the later slides, but there are various things depending on the publisher, depending on the grant organization that you're applying to, and also based on the individual journals, there's various situations to be considered. Whether the people who use the Gen AI to cheat or to break the rules, whether they get punished or not. There's situations are very different. Some nuanced situations still quite difficult. We are in journals and publishing in lots of debates now. Nobody has got clear idea or confirmed answer. So it is an ongoing thing. There are potential solutions. Again, I'll talk about that in a minute. So just bear in mind, don't rely on Gen AI too much. So transparency, again, understand how system works. We now developed basic understanding how large language model work, and we know how the training works. But exactly how the solutions are produced is even for the AI company, they openly admit now they don't really know how the machines actually work. So there is a black box involved in there as well. So the transparency is a quite a big challenge. That's why I'm saying don't hugely rely on what vendors are saying. They sometimes have no control what outcomes or the training results coming out when they actually feed huge amount of data, thanks to all of us helping them doing the training. So as mentioned, ethics, I'm not going that in detail. We all got basic understanding, and there have been various frameworks to train people. So the key thing, in my opinion, is not it's not about accusing everybody you see, thinking everybody is suspect of using AI for cheating, including researchers and students. We just got to have that build this kind of a trust and thinking about training people to develop them this type of understanding. I think that's really the priority. What we need to do is about further develop the awareness what they need to be doing or what they should be doing, like the session we're covering now. Okay, so that's what I'm saying about the potential conflict. So biases detection. Again, I mentioned those data label and algorithm biases. Again, reading at the bottom of the slide, which you can access to later on, and try to provide latest reading as possible, because the information, what's happening in this area is really super fast. So lots of new things happening right now. So there are tools for data biases detection and prevention and other kind of bias detection as well. So for data in particular, there's 4 of them. I have to admit, I haven't tried any of them. I don't even know how they work, but there are tools. There's so many tools. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to explore all of them. But the good thing is for you to know, for all of us as a community to know, there are tools available to help us understand how can we prevent in a way or reduce the chance of generating the biased results when we feed training data in the the data are trying to be a bit more inclusive. So I think that's the main purpose of these kind of tools. So what we should be doing in terms of do's. AI declaration. So again, the short answer is yes, be honest. So we teach our students to be honest, to, on the cover sheet when they submit their assessments, they need to declare, have they used the AI tools, what they've used, and there are various of the traffic light systems in position. Now, we ask students to declare. We have to do the same as a researcher, and you notice pretty much all publishers, whether they're leading publishers, small, whether you're talking about open access or traditional journals, all these publishers, organizations, grant application, all organizations, as far as I'm aware, pretty much, I can't say 100%, but I would say over 85% at least now, they have a clear documentation and also templates in position to guide you through. So if you have used tools, say for grammar checking, for generating ideas, for use certain prompts, for helping you analyze data, do certain things. Just be honest. Sometimes it's better to acknowledge the uses than later on when the problems are detected. When in a way, very informally, if there is any doubt, it will have impact. I would say personally, based on my experience, there may be a potential impact, because if people don't know whether your content is genuine, is authentic, there is a chance it may affect the publication, whether your paper will be accepted or not. That's based on my personal view again. So it doesn't really mean you declare if anything happened, you used Gen AI, say worst scenario, your wrote or your paraphrase entire or half of your journal paper article using AI, that you're going to be put in prison, you're going to take through any legal procedure process. That's not going to happen. There's no direct legal authority. Neither the publisher or individual journal really have the authority to do that. But there are some legal implications. Okay, so face claims in particular, as mentioned, relating to medicine or law, breach of contracts. Again, publishers have their specific requirement. It's different from enterprise license of the Gen AI vendors. So for individual journal and publishers, whether you think about papers, you think about books, please do take some time to read their contracts. If you breach their contracts with using AI, there are some complications, issues. I can't say it doesn't mean one thing covers all. So it doesn't really mean there's a genuine statement to cover all publishers. You got to read individual guidance, but pretty much all major publishers, as I mentioned, they have very clear guidance. Okay, so you'll be involved in the standard copyright issues. If anything happen, they will deal with the individual cases. So another question people might be asking is, will my university be notified? I actually did check with Emerald. The answer is depends. So I know it's a quite vague answer. It really depends on individual cases. So again, depends on individual journals. There will be a kind of umbrella rule across the publishers. Say Emerald has I think over 400 journals. We all react, depending on the general Emerald rule, but we have to look at individual cases. So there is a chance your university or faculty or department will be notified. So please do bear that in mind. I'm not saying it will, I'm saying it may be, depends on individual cases. And also, a small number of journals now start using AI detectors. So for example, again, reading below under in this slide, so Spring at Nature, okay? So I marked the date as well. From June 24, they're using 2 AI detectors. And Wiley as well, they're looking at some sort of new AI-powered paper mail detection. So other publishers may follow and then do similar thing, but it's not too clear. Many other publishers really are sitting and really watch what's going on with the situation. It's a bit like when we talk about LinkedIn, AI detector, when it first came out, some universities, very small number of universities trialed, but majority of us didn't. So it's very similar situation. People all really getting to know the situation. More and more Gen AI tools are being developed or getting more advanced with the features and everything. So we're all kind of in this similar situation, seeing what's happening now really, and well, to react accordingly, probably again based on individual cases. So how to declare again? So I provided this certain one, SAGE again. So what's the second one? Oh, BMJ. So for the medical, again, that's more strict in a way. Again, those are just 2 examples. They actually, some of them provided templates to you to disclose the uses. So there is a new AI detection, bracket as a potential, because I think some of you might have read it. OpenAI has already developed this tool since last year, but they haven't used it because they're worrying about using it may stop people from using ChatGPT and purchasing their enterprise licenses. So this watermark thing, that again, just feel free to read it later, to click on the link. There's various versions, but this one from LinkedIn. So the watermark is not to be detected by human eye, but detected by machine. So if you use the AI generated text, it will be detected. So the mechanism or the tool developed by OpenAI, I think it's fairly accurate. They're just not shared it with the public. If you ask my personal opinion, I would say please do. I really welcome it. I don't really think people should rely on Gen AI to create academic writing. I don't think it's fair to people like all of us actually working very hard to write our papers and to generate the ideas and do the writing, do the actual writing. But you know, by all means, we all use to. I mean, I use it to correct my emails all the time. I do find it quite helpful in a way. So it depends what you use it for. But I do think academic writing, really, personally, I think it should be strictly forbidden for using Gen AI to do the actual writing. It's not fair. It's not ethical at all. So just watch out the space to see what the development. It's not just the OpenAI. More and more vendors were looking into this kind of tools. So a situation can change quite dramatically. It could be made of this year. Those type of tool will be used. We don't know. So we just got to see what the situation really is. And you can see also Microsoft has got watermarks now for Gen AI created image. I think is a DALL-E. It doesn't really affect me, but I think people in the creative industry, if you work with images all the time, again, that's something that I think is an extra protection for those people, and also probably for protecting their jobs as well. So those are the latest development AI declaration. Okay, so giving the potential for my original work to be added. If you decided to upload, but this we can't physically stop people from doing that. You know, it's for grammar checking again. So I dance again this year. So basically, just be extra careful for uploading any of your original work before publication. If you already share with the public, whether it's a blog or whatever type of a writing, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so as you can see here, again, leading AI companies want us to believe the training, okay, without copyrighted material here, it is impossible. So as you can see, that's from one of the leading browsers here. We refuse to believe it. For me as well, because I've studied computer science. I know what machine learning is in a slightly deeper way. So I think it is quite important. Just don't put anything into their training, don't help their training. You don't want whatever you unpublished results or data to become somebody else's work, to benefit somebody else in a simple way. And as I said, it's not really ethical at all. Data privacy. So again, developer, they will process anything. Once you put in, there's no undo button. You can't take it out. So there's no going back. So please be very careful. Again, if you use enterprise license or personal license, whatever license that you're actually using, just be very careful. If you got time, have a quick scan through their policy, understand how your data is being used. Again, ownership. When problems happening, ownership, even say in the legal sector, this is one of the major challenges. It's very, very difficult to actually decide who owns whatever situation, whether the publication or creative arts or podcasts. Just just be extra mindful when you create anything in particular you want to use any copyrighted data or content. Okay, so ownership. We do have EU law and UK law as well. And to be fair, EU AI law is not really in position I think until 2026. There is a draft, but it's not being really taken into action just yet. So should we use Gen AI to together and to analyze the data? Again, so this is again example where I get the library guidance. I tend to use a lot of American ones because the US, Australia, these are leading countries. I know the UK government now got the AI action plans. We're trying to be one of them. But for now, these two countries are fairly advanced. So you have a look at the responsible way of using it and caution. So don't upload any existing data into Gen AI tools. This thing I keep repeating, your raw data is really important, not to upload onto the Gen AI. So try not to use it to analyze data. It is easier to do it that way. You can run Python, you can ask it to use R to analyze data, whatever way you want him to do. But once it's updated, as I said, it becomes their part of their training. So it's not going to be your raw data anymore. And we have the GDPR and also the ethical approval to be considered. So again, just quickly, those are two prompt engineering suggestions. Again, I'm not going to go through them too much. I've only got 20 minutes. I'll just keep looking at my phone. I'll share the slides. You can read it. So it's all about checking to repeat the process, to pay attention to a bit of the nuance level, the words you're using, the phrase. How do you actually want the output to be, or the outputs to be document, table, or are you writing codes, or what sort of thing you want it to generate? Okay, on what sort of a format? And normally you do multiple times to get it right or get it more more accurate to meet your expectations. Okay, similar kind of thing, output evaluation. So prompt engineering is one thing to get the outputs you want, but it doesn't guarantee the outputs are accurate, genuine, that you can trust. So you do those kind of things to test, to check, always check the authentication, reliability of those outcomes. So again, I won't go through these two slides in too much details because we've been doing these ones. We got a bit of a better understanding. Just again, think about the context, think about your subject, think what you're doing, what you're using it for. So whether it's for assessment design, for your own research paper, grant application writing, okay, think about those situations, how and what you are actually doing with Gen AI. So then I move on to what you shouldn't be doing. Okay, so again, in grant proposals, very similar story compared to journal publications. Again, if you happen to be one of the assessors sitting in any of those grant application assessment committees to assess other people's application, you are strictly forbidden for using Gen AI to assess the application. So you got UK RI. Sorry about the typo. I've been extremely busy recently. I only just picked up now, so I thought it's strange when I say the UK. So UKRI obviously got their rule as well, and you got Government of Canada, you got European Research Council. I'm not saying those only the three organizations are doing it. Pretty much all grant application organizations are following similar kind of a guidance or rules now. So not only the grant application, if you are applicant, you be very careful what you're doing with Gen AI. But if you are one of the people to assess the application, that you are strictly forbidden for using these kind of tools. Again, consequences can be quite severe, I would say. Again, I can't say what consequences because again, I'm not from legal sector, and also situations are very different. You'll be amazed. The various of the cases, you could actually get a hold of what Gen AI can do, whether in research, teaching, or in industry. So ChatGPT as a co-author, we know from the beginning. So in 2023, late 2020, well, just in 2023, 2024, we have seen various people as a trend to start getting ChatGPT to be a co-author. I remember actually, so I came and I did a keynote to Imperial College London, one of your learning teaching conference. I think it was 23, 24. Yeah, then ChatGPT it was just rising. It's such a popular topic even from then. I remember one of the keynote. I delivered a keynote alongside somebody else on the assessment day. So one of them actually wrote a paper, had a ChatGPT as a co-author, and I remember he said his paper was really very well cited, kind of caused lots of interest. So at the time, it was all allowed because people were unclear exactly what you can do. So it's a trendy thing to do. Suddenly you see, or ChatGPT or Gen AI as an author, but please be very aware. Now you're not allowed to use ChatGPT as a co-author. So the first paper, you can read later on, I think from the Nature, or might be the link below. So the first paper I listed is O'Connor 2022. It was one of the cases being used many times. So initially the paper has ChatGPT as one of the authors, but it was removed later on from the nurse education in practice. So there's a various of explanations what's happening there. But now you're not allowed to write with ChatGPT as a writing team. That would be nice, isn't it? But no, you're not allowed, not like 2 years ago. So just be very careful. Can you use Gen AI as a peer reviewer? I actually seen people suggesting, oh, you can use it to help you review, to improve your writing. Please don't. Honestly, that's not a very clever suggestion at all. Again, similar type of things, when you get your review comments, or if you are acting as a peer reviewer, you're writing comments to other people. So you're one of the people to assess the quality of the work. If you upload the submission somebody shared with you into ChatGPT, you basically you break that confidentiality. You actually submitted other people's work. You're breaking the GDPR as well. Upload to ChatGPT. If you found out, again, the consequence can be quite serious. So if you are going to be one of the peer reviewers, please don't upload the author's work. If you are the author, again, please don't upload your own work to ChatGPT or other tools to give your review feedback. It will work very well. I can tell you that. I haven't never done that, but based on my experience with ChatGPT, it will do a wonderful job. You can say, act as certain journal, Emerald, this and that journal, or BMJ, acting as some peer reviewer, very critical, nasty people with the difficult tone, something like that. It will come out really genuine, very good suggestions, but please don't do that. Okay, it will. Again, you're uploading your unpublished materials onto a Gen AI and to be part of the training data. So the answer is no. Again, I'll just sharing some practical examples. Okay, what Gen AI is good at. Again, you know these ones. So for example, University of Sydney, they're quite big in Gen AI as well. Okay, writing down outline. You can do outline, brainstorming. You can do a quick introduction, generating keywords, structure, questions. But again, please don't use it as a polisher. Just whether you're doing it as improving your language. I've never used Grammarly, even though I'm a foreigner here. I've never used any of those Gen AI tools for checking grammar. It is what it is. I mean, if English isn't your first language, if you happen to write with native English speakers in your writing team, then you can ask for their help. If you don't have that, if you're just on your own, or all authors in your team non-English speaking person, then I actually don't think they pick on grammar that much. As long as we when we're researcher, our English is sufficiently good for writing, I would say. So you don't really need to worry about. So the bottom line, please don't use Gen AI to polish, but do rest of the other things listed here. That would be helpful. Okay, so I'm just using it one of my teaching things, and students, so topic on the benefit of text sentiment. So for retail market in the UK, so you get the idea. So again, this is just for for assessment, but for research, you get the same idea. But one thing I would say, I'll show you in a minute, when you ask to provide you the latest, so generate me the 5 top research papers, highly cited papers in 2024. The result is not to be trusted. I've done that myself. So you got to cross-check. They don't give you the correct information at all if that's something you're interested in doing. Okay, so most 5 cited paper, again, none of these is correct. Yeah, because I cross-checked, referenced them all. I've double-checked everything it listed, and every time they give me a different list. So I run it on. So you can see the top is ChatGPT, the bottom one is Gemini. Gemini 2.2 is actually 2.0 is actually not too bad. It's not far behind ChatGPT. So I tend to use those two to swap around and just to compare their results. So can the streamline productivity, if you wanted to use to help little bit, you got one of those popular ones being mentioned, Google Notebook, LM is for podcast as well. GPT 4.40, you get free quarter for using that. Gemini 2, and there's a PDF one as well. Okay, so quick observations. A lot of these ones, like the Ask Your PDF, it's developed upon on ChatGPT really. So they seem to accept PDF rather than Word format. So when you're uploading documents to analyze, to summarize, give you keywords, give you sort of summary of introduction of the key points or the theories of framework, they tend to accept PDF instead of Word documents. Okay, so they do point out the location where they, in the document. So sometimes if you want to speed things up to get to that particular point you're looking for, it does quite helpful. But output evaluation, okay, again, you need to be just mindful what they generating. Sometimes often is incorrect as well. Yeah, I thought I've got the screenshot not on this page. Okay, so Ask Your PDF, again, so this is a free one. I normally share free ones with people anyway. So I asked it to summarize the article in 100 words. I've submitted, uploaded one article that one of my co-authors wrote previously on AI literacy. So it's been published since 2020, so it was an old article. Okay, so the summary is okay. So I asked to summarize the content, categorize them into themes. So that's all done quite well. Future trends mentioned in the article. So if this is kind of work that you're interested in getting Gen AI to do, I think they are quite efficient. Okay, Okay, so you can see here 5 possible questions you might consider ask. Again, if you're struggling with ideas for future research, this is a good starting point. Again, just make sure you do check some of these ones. I don't know where they get the answers from. So make sure that hasn't been covered, or they are absolutely the new kind of a topic areas you can explore further. Okay, so suggest a structure outline for a case study paper, and I even said which journal I prefer, but I don't find it particularly helpful. I don't think it understands BJudge exactly what BJudge really asks, but it does go onto the website and looking for the key areas and give you kind of a standard structure. So it's a good starting point again. So check the web instruction and to compare to see whether they make sense. So always do the verification. That's really quite critical. Summary, new idea, Google Notebook, LM. This is still quite new one. So this is the point I just mentioned. You can see the number 1212. You click on, it will take you to the location of that document or the article where this part has been summarized. Okay, so I personally think is quite useful when you want to escape certain readings. Okay, so research question. Okay, I suggest research question for future research in the context of HE in the UK. So it gave me those research questions, which can be useful. Again, just to do second checking, make sure everything is correct, looking correct to you. Frameworks. Again, so these are standard frameworks because I'm on this area. I know a suggestion seem to be sufficient enough to me. So that's quite a good way for suggesting frameworks. Generating new idea, ChatGPT, again, brainstorm tools. So I'm trying to show you various tools, how they work. Again, as a new researcher, I'm trying to make the prompts a bit more accurate. New researcher, brainstorming. Okay, so you're experienced researcher, you're trying to work with me, suggest the 10 research ideas. So it's basically you're doing a role play, asking experienced researcher as if ChatGPT is one of them, and to give you some suggestions. So I define I want 10, you can say 20, you can say 100, it will come out with this kind of suggestion. And then I'm asking among those 10, so ChatGPT is quite good to do the continuous sort of thing. If you're doing application, it remembers everything you talked about. And if you ask for a summary later on, even a few days later, it will still come out a decent summary with the examples you mentioned a few days ago. But Gemini is not good at it. Others not so good. ChatGPT by far to me is still the top one. Again, I don't know what DeepSeek is doing, so I'm going to test that as well. So for ChatGPT, it does remember the conversations, so in different contexts. Again, so it gave me pick the best 3 topics, and then give me the justifications to help you decide on what you're going to do further. So writing a summary report, again, this is the Google Note again, so you can see that so this is the thing that it hasn't done very well. I've said that, you know, I wanted to write in 100,000 words. It always came out with less than 500 or 300, and it stopped. I've tried numerous times. It doesn't really do that. So I also look to ChatGPT. It's still better. ChatGPT, if you ask for a word limit, it does give that to you, but others don't do it so well. So in particular, it's Google Notebook LM. Okay, so ChatGPT very good, doing that perfectly. Okay, so output verification, fake incorrect output. Okay, so Gen AI is not so good, as you know, summarizing lists of research publications. So never use it to generate references. It's one of the probably the worst areas we all know of, but surprisingly people are still doing it. If you happen generate a list of fake references, as I said, the content of your writing, it will be affected because people are not sure whether the content is genuine enough. Okay, so that's the one that I used. I've said the outputs I mentioned before, they are incorrect. So I asked ChatGPT to list the top 10 most cited research papers on that topic in 2024 on Web of Sciences. Provide a reference, also the number of citations. Okay, so it came out with that. So that's a ChatGPT. So gave me a list as I required with the citations. Yeah, no, this one, the first time I didn't ask citation, I just asked for the references. So I've asked again, I think add the number of citations. Okay, so you can see it added citation count. So that's all look very good, genuine, isn't it? And then I went on actually Web of Science and I compared, and that's actually what the Web of Science showed me. So you can see the list completely. So when the second time I asked provide the citation, so you see the order and the number of the articles provided to me, they are very different, even just by me asking for citations. So when I went on Web of Science to actually did the search manually, so you can see it absolutely, there's no match. The number of citations, also the top 5 papers are very different. Just show you certain things when ChatGPT or other Gen AI tools, when they can't do, they just throw in some really very inaccurate outputs for you to to use. So just be careful for that. Okay, so you can see this one, and I actually went in to check this one of those one on the second one. So the first one, so this author. So the ChatGPT told me the citation 83. So I went in, the citations actually 24. So you can see the verification is quite critical in certain areas. It's great brainstorming, summarizing, give you some list of ideas, but not so good this kind of thing. Okay, so finally, I know it's 5. I'll be very quick. Just final part for this synthetic data. If you're doing quants, in particular for new research, you're trying to practice and to use it to analyze data, get a bit of a familiarity with what you're doing. ChatGPT and other Gen AI tools are quite good at providing you with synthetic, basically just fake data. So pre Perplexity is the one that I use, and I do use it sometimes. Again, I'm so used to using ChatGPT, and I really do think Alison's also good. But Perplexity, such a difficult name, it's quite popular as well. So you can actually define what you want it to do, and the number of fields you can actually fully define, like this one. What sort of a field and how many numbers and what kind of variables you want to include, and it does generate a quite good data set. Okay, so again, I'm just giving you more. So for that's the first one. So generate me a data set with the following information. So I provided the list of fields or variables with options of postgraduate taught. And then I further sort of showing you how the prompt engineering works in relating to the synthetic data. Test out to look at it and then see the age range are what I want subject, but they are also not incorrect, but I need a wider range of variables. So I adjust the next prompt. So add the following response, okay? How likely are you to use GPT or Gen AI for your next assessment? How likely do you think you'll be identified as using ChatGPT? And then how likely? So I'm adding more things every time. So when you're not confident to begin with, prompt engineering is all about refining it continuously. So here's the data set has in a more compact format, reduce the spacing to fit all these one I asked. So you can see compared to the previous one, I only had age, gender, subject, discipline, year of study. And for this one, I got additional one, subject, discipline, but I've got a further 3 questions I want them to actually answer. So you can see it come out quite nicely with the set of the data. Okay, give me the Python code. So if you familiar, you're wanting to use a Python code to load the CSV, again, you obviously need to have the CSV in position. So you either working with Jupyter. Okay, so again, most people now using Jupyter for Python. So you can simply run this one again to test to see how they actually working or not in Jupyter. Okay, so you ask to generate the CSV file using Python and give you the code. Okay, can you give me the Python code to load the CSV file into Python, and then you can sort of copy and paste into Jupyter if you're not so good at doing this kind of thing, and to test to see how everything works, to see every line of the codes work. Obviously, as I mentioned, you need to have your file in position for that purpose and to test it in Jupyter. How do I set the file line, first line as the title of the data frame columns? Again, this is about Python again. So now we're just trying to iterate the process. Every time we're adding new things to begin with, we're trying to make the data set to exactly or getting as close as possible to what I want. And then I want to actually to see what kind of a Python codes. If I'm not so good at practicing using Python codes, I want it to generate the code. And ChatGPT is pretty good. I mean, I keep mentioning ChatGPT is what I'm using, but other tools, Gen AI tools, they're all fairly good now generating program codes. So I'm just repeating the same kind of thing again, every time adding more elements. So iterating now and being more precise in my prompt here. So again, so if you go back to the few letters, so this is about the T and I. Okay, so because with certain Gen AI tools, they remember what you entered already, the previous prompts, so they do remember. So then you don't need to be certainly to be too precise at certain things, so you can build continuously. Okay, so to set the first line, you use the following approach. So you come up with those kind of codes. So you adding everything each time to see whether the codes generated meet your expectations. Okay, so proofreading these ones again, just as a final kind of a quick summary. Okay, so think about, you don't really proofread, you don't upload basic rule, just anything is original, it's in the draft status or your raw data. If you upload, you would risk the content to be part of the training data set. Okay, understanding. So the problem again, Gen AI is quite good producing things, but if you're using it all the time for people who just don't alter anything, basically just copy and paste, the writing, you can pick them out pick them up quite easily even without AI detector. There's no personalization, there's no contextual consideration at all. I've seen that many times, whether students or other people, you know this email or this kind of a writing provided text is generated by Gen AI because there's no personal touch at all. Potential for errors, misleading, incorrect, in particular, if you think about data, if you wanted to analyze data, will it generate the results you're looking for, whether it's being skewed, again, are there any biases? Okay, because you put your data in, but Gen AI also works with other training data that's already in their database. So you need to think about whether the results are misleading or incorrect in various situations. Okay. So in addition to those ones, I put lots of universities one because these ones, again, in the US, they have a good information. Again, all these ones are related to academic research, specifically not about learning teaching. Everything we cover today really nothing to do with learning teaching. It's all about using it for research. So in addition to the links you can see on the individual slides, and these are just like a wrap up that you can actually read later on. So that's pretty much what I'm going to cover. So shall I stop sharing the screen now? I know it's 6 minutes past.
Yes.